Hello everybody, and welcome to this tutorial. Today we will deal with open system interaction, but more commonly known as the OSI model. It consists out of 7 layers, and before we begin, let me just say that it is not necessary to understand each one of them in great detail for this course in particular, but I do highly recommend that if you wish to work with networks, explore on this subject further. Now let me just go briefly over the 7 layers and see what each one of them is responsible for, and more importantly, what sort of information is contained within each layer, so that later on when we open Wireshark, we might segment them, we might filter them in such a way, or do something of a kind. But in general, just to better understand the information that we take from Wireshark. Anyway, first up is physical layer. But before I start explaining them, let me just expand this picture for you. And here you can see that they're all listed from 1 to 7. So you have physical, data link, network, transport, session, presentation, application. And we're just going to begin from the physical layer. That is not that important to us in general, primarily because it is mainly responsible for the transmission of signals through the network, but at electrical level. So physical layer deals with hardware such as network cards and cables, which is not needed today, which is not needed for this course. We're primarily interested in the software and how things happen on that level. Next up, immediately after physical layer, is Datalink, which is layer 2. Here you have encoding and decoding of data packets as they are translated into bits. It is also responsible for handling any errors that might have occurred in the physical layer, conducting flow control and synchronizing frames. It is made up of 2 sublayers. One of them we already talked about, that's MAC. In the previous tutorial I mentioned MAC addressing. And the second one is LLC, that stands for Logical Link Control. So MAC controls permissions in terms of how a computer will gain access to the data and the permission to send the same. While on the other hand, LLC synchronizes frames, ensures flow control, and conducts error checking. Network is layer 3. It is there to provide for switching and routing. It creates virtual circuits, they're just logical paths, in order to transmit data. It is also in charge of addressing, error handling, and it controls packet sequencing as well. Next up, transport layer. Transfer of data from one host to another. Basically, so it conducts a transfer of data from one host to a server, or just from 2 hosts in between themselves, or something of a kind, but this is the important part, while ensuring transparency, and it also performs error recovery. In short, it preserves the integrity of data. So here lies TCP, Transmission Control Protocol, guaranteeing the delivery of data, and it also guarantees that they will be delivered in the order that they have been sent in. Very important. Session, that's layer 5, that's next. So coordinates communication between applications, meaning it manages and terminates connection, dealing with sessions. We shall talk a bit more about that later on as we go into the Wireshark itself, but here we go. Presentation is layer 6. It provides independence from differences in data representation simply by translating from application to network format, and the other way around. So let's say, I don't know, your Skype application, so VoIP, it converts your voice into bits of information, and it has a very specific way of doing that. But then you have a presentation at layer 6, one general encapsulation, so it doesn't matter what is inside of it. The application layer, which is next layer, will be able to take it anyway, unwrap it, and forward it to the proper application. Anyway, all it does is convert data into the suitable form for application layer. That's all. In short, it formats and encrypts data for transmission. And finally, we have application, which is layer 7. Now, here we will stick for a very long time in Wireshark, and you will see that most of the things that you see there will be layer 7. As the name says, it supports applications running on your computers. It takes into consideration authentication, privacy, and it also handles quality of service. It provides services for all manner of file transfers, and here lies HTTP, Telnet, FTP, and other network services. So, this was a very brief overview of the OSI model and the processes that take place when data is sent over the network. You will soon see how all the information gathered in Wireshark is layered and how much time you can save by just knowing where the desired information is most likely to be found. And in the next tutorial, we will install and configure Wireshark to see how all this fits in. Thank you for watching, and I bid you farewell till next time.